Okay, well, thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is Keith Hensley, and today I will show you how to add and modify listings in Matrix. Today is the day that Fusion, at this moment that we're currently doing this, we are turning off Fusion to add and edit part of Fusion. Today is the day that you're not going to be able to use either system to add or modify listings. But starting tomorrow, November 3rd, you will be able to do this. Everything I'm showing you today right now in Matrix, you cannot do yet, but starting tomorrow on Thursday, November 3rd, you will be able to add listings and modify listings using Matrix. So today's kind of a free day where there's no adding or modifying listings in either system. But starting tomorrow, this is what you're going to be doing here today. Okay, so with that said, let's go ahead and get started here. Oop. And you can see my time frame here. Let's get rid of that. And let's open up Matrix here. Okay, well, hopefully everyone's already been using Matrix and playing with it and stuff, and hopefully you've been enjoying it and seeing a lot of benefits to it. What I'm going to show you is using this tab up here. You do not have this tab yet today. Tomorrow morning you will have this tab, and this is where you're going to go and start adding and modifying listings. And there is some nice benefits to adding and modifying listings in Matrix over what we were not able to do in Fusion, and I will definitely cover those today. First thing I want to do is first let's add a listing. Let's go in and just add a listing, and then after we do that, I'll save it as an incomplete listing and show you how you can add the photos and the attachments before it becomes a live listing, which is one of the first benefits to using Matrix. After that, we'll come back in and I'll show you how to modify a listing, how to go back in and finish it, how to go back in and change the status, add, change the price, and do all kinds of stuff with that there. So, so by doing both of those parts there, it should make sense to you. So first, let's just click on Add Edit at the top. And here, like I said, we're going to start with adding a new listing, and then we'll come back in later and we'll edit an existing listing here. So just very similar to Fusion, just very similar to ML Exchange. You hit Add New Listing. You pick your property type, same property types that we've always had in both systems. And then you just come in and pick the one you like. And then it comes up here. And I'm going to explain these three options up here that we have. The first one is Fill from Real List. That's your tax auto pop, just like we did in ML Exchange or Fusion. You're going to pick one of these counties, one of the 15 counties that we have real lists for, and if your listing's in one of those 15 counties, we strongly encourage you to pick the listing from the county and auto-populate it into the system. Now, just because it auto-populates doesn't mean you have to keep that information, because sometimes you might have more current and up-to-date information, so you can always override anything that the system auto-populates in there, but we encourage you to use that. These next two options, though, if it's not in the 15 counties, you're going to start with a blank listing, and that's where it's not auto-populating. You just go in with a blank sheet of paper and start typing in your information there. And then this middle one says Fill from Cross Property. Might see if we can rename this and call it Copy from Cross Property or something like that, because this is your copy feature. This is if it's your listing and you had a listing in the past, and let's say it expired or whatever, and you've got it again, you can just make a copy of that and re-input it without starting from scratch. You can just make a copy, but it's got to be your listing previously. You can't copy someone else's listings. So, so that same business rule applies, that you're going to only be able to copy your listings if it was in there. So that's your copy feature right there. So I'm just going to say Fill from Real List. I'm going to pick Miami County, and just for simplicity, I'm just going to use the wrist address here, 1087 Market Street. Now you notice I typed in Market, not North Market, so it's just street name, not the address. So just street number, street name here. And it tells you right up here above in that red how to do that. So this is simply street number, street name. I pick the county. And then I hit search, and it goes out there and it searches. It tells me the address, the parcel number, the county, and just for confirmation, you can see the owner's name. Make sure you got the right place. And if this is correct, then you just hit the fill button right here. So when you hit fill, it's going to take as much information and populate it into the data sheet for listing input here. Now you can see this is different from how Fusion and MLXchange used to do things. In Fusion or MLXchange, you would just keep scrolling all the way down to see all your information. Here you just go from one tab to the next tab and to the next tab and so forth. And you can see as I go from tabs here, you can see which fields are required. The required ones are in yellow or in gold here. So those are the ones you have to fill in, and they should be the exact same required fields that we had in Fusion. I don't believe anything has changed here. So whatever was required in one system, it's going to be required here. It's got the same pick list that we had in Fusion, so nothing's changed there. It's just the flow of it. Instead of going all the way down, you're just going to go from tab to tab and go through this here. When you come in, it should auto-populate your agent ID in here. Now, if you're an office manager or broker and you have the ability to add and modify listings for multiple people, you would just simply type in the ID number, the 108 number of that agent in your office. And if you don't know it, you can hit find an agent here and search for their first name, their last name, and find it, and it'll populate in here. Well, once you do type that in here, and then you might need to hit refresh, and then it refreshes your information over here. Same thing with co-agent. Just type in their 108 number and hit refresh, and then you should see that agent ID in there too. After that, you're going to see type of contract and all these other forms. I don't want to go through all this. I think a lot of this is just very simple to understand. You just pick the dates. You notice the date options have a little calendar that you can pick the calendar here for. All these fields have a question mark on it. Most of these, it's pretty straightforward. It just says that field is required or not required. But once we might come across a certain field that RIST is always getting questions on. What does this mean? How should I fill this out? Well, that's where RIST or us at CoreLogic, we can go in and kind of give some more information about that field, what it means there. But in this example here that I'm going through so far, I really haven't seen any complicated fields. Everything is pretty much the same as it was here. So like I said, you're just going to fill everything in here, pick your options. Well, should have put percent, not $3 here. And so forth. And then you're just going to go to the next tab here and start filling this out. Now you'll notice down here at the bottom, I've got save as incomplete, validate, cancel input, and submit listing. Save as incomplete. As you go through, the system does auto-save this, and I will demonstrate that here in a moment. That if I forget to hit save as incomplete, it does auto-save this as I go from tab to tab. And then that way, if I get logged off, let's say I get up and I walk away from my computer and I go to lunch or go to a meeting or something, and I come back a couple hours later, you know how the system kicks you off. Well, as I log back in, it will prompt me to restore this listing because I forgot to save it as an incomplete. So that is a feature that's there, and I will show it to you here in a minute. But obviously, if you want to take a break, save it as incomplete here. Or you can hit cancel, and cancel would just basically terminate this listing because I haven't finished it. I haven't even saved it as incomplete, so cancel would pretty much erase it. And then obviously once I've got all the fields put in, all the required fields at least put in, submit listing would make this live, and then everyone could see this listing out there. So don't hit submit until you're ready to make it an active listing. Now validate. I'm going to demonstrate here in a few minutes that will go through and check, make sure I typed in all the fields correctly. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and put square footage here. I'm going to put a comma in there. Actually, I can't put a comma there. So what I'm going to do is put a decimal point and maybe 2 zeros after that. So here in a minute when I hit validate, it's going to go through and check all my fields. But if I put something in incorrect, like square footage should not have decimal points in here, and it shouldn't have a comma either, but it actually didn't let me put a comma in there. It's just a straight number. So when I hit validate, you're going to see here in a minute that I'm going to get an error message there. So that's what validate does. Validate just checks to make sure you get everything in correctly. So like I said, you're going to type in stuff here. Once you've got a street number, a street name, and a zip code over here, you're going to notice the map over here. It's going to map it for you as best as it can. Now, just because it mapped it doesn't mean it's accurately mapped. So we strongly encourage you, just like we did in Fusion and MLXchange, check and make sure your listing is mapped correctly, because they do, sometimes not get mapped wrong. Maybe you accidentally flip some numbers in a zip code or something. So and then it's flipping it, putting it in a different area, mapping it there. So please, especially with Matrix, because Matrix has so much better mapping, and it's going to have the Google Street View here that I'm going to show you in a few minutes, and plus people are going to be drawing map shapes much more than they ever did in Fusion, because the mapping ability and searching by map is so much better in Matrix. So hit set lat long manually, and it's just going to open it up, just confirm that you've got it correctly, and you can always zoom in closer on this just to make sure. And you can always zoom out too, as much as you need to. But here you'll notice it's got it. You can always move it around and put it where it needs to go. And you can also notice we got the parcel boundaries here. So if I click on a parcel, it's just going to highlight it for you and let you know that that's the owner's name and the address there. And remember, you can do this in Matrix too. When you pull up a listing, you can pull up the map of any listing, and you can just click on the parcel ID to see the owner's name and address here, just to confirm that you've got the right property. And just like in Matrix, when I do a search, not only can I see the owner's name, but I can also hit the lot dimensions. So that's something I try to show in our training classes, but just in case you forgot or I forgot to show it in training class, you can see the lot dimensions and the lot square footage also on property. So on any time you can just click on that parcel and hit lot dimensions, and that could help you with this here. So so I've got the correct address here. If I did move it though, and I moved it over here, make sure you hit place new pin and then hit done over here. But it was correct here. So all I need to do is, I'm just going to cancel, because it actually did map it correctly here for me. After that, after you got it mapped correctly, we got this new feature now in Matrix that we never had before called the Google Street View. It's going to take where you mapped it at, and it's going to use if Google has been in this area. Sometimes you won't be able to use Google Street View because Google hasn't been there. So, so in this case, Google has been there, and I can see what the Google Street View is. And you can see it's not always looking the best site. Sometimes it's looking a little bit more at the clouds, or sometimes it's in between the houses, and you're kind of like, well, which house is it there? Well, since it's your listing, you have the ability to fix this. You can come in and get this set and looking exactly right. And you can also zoom in on this and get a little closer if you need to. And you can even scoot down the street a little bit and kind of look at it from a different angle if you need to, or back up a little bit if you need to. And sometimes it might be kind of like looking down the street, or it might be looking at the wrong house across the street. So this is your opportunity to fix it, so other agents and the public will be looking at the right Google Street View and not the wrong house or a wrong angle. And because you might also have a big tree here blocking that view of the house, so if you scoot down on the other and look at it from a different angle here, you might get around that tree that's in the way. So just a little tip on that there. And then obviously once you're done, just hit the OK button there. All right, so so definitely map your listing, check it, and make sure it's right, and then use the Google Street View and set that, make sure that looks correct in there. Outside of that, you're just going to obviously just fill in all the fields, and not just the required fields, you guys. Please go through and fill in every field, not just the required fields here. City, if I open this up, you notice it didn't auto-populate the city for me because it's a pick list here. It's just like county, it's a pick list. And because it's a pick list, we're not able to auto-populate it in there. If it was a text field where you just type in, then we could populate it from the tax records. So here, even though I picked Miami County as the tax record to auto-populate from, I still have to go in here and pick it along with Troy here because it's a pick list. And I'm just going to pick Troy and come down here and say OK. And we are working on a way, I don't know how soon this will be, but as soon as you auto-populate it, pick it in here, we're going to have it pick your area numbers for you. So you don't have to pick area 701 or whatever because it's already mapped. And based on the map location, we will go ahead and pick the correct area number for you. But right now that is not working yet. We haven't configured that part yet because there is some effort on our end behind the scenes to do that. So I'm going to go in here and just manually pick 701 and hit OK. But that's something we should be looking forward to, and hopefully that will be soon, and you won't even need to pick that there. It'll just base it off of where it's mapped at. So that will give us a lot more cleaner data, I think, too, and prevent listings from being in wrong areas. And then, of course, you just fill in the rest of this here. And so for school district and stuff. And then I'm just going to go to my next field, rooms. Rooms is a little different. Here, you only see one field for rooms, where in the past we'd have every single field in there, and you would be able to pick whatever rooms that were available. We'd have, and here's your list that we had before. Here, you just go in and pick, the room you want, give it the room length and width, and now you notice these are not required, so you don't have to fill this stuff in, but it's so important, especially what floor that room is on. The more information you give, the better it is for your listings to be found and other people to look for your house and make offers. Because so many times people just don't fill this room size in or room levels in, but you're just hurting yourself. So as much information, no matter if it's required or not, it's going to help you. And then I can hit more here, and this opens up, and then I can add another bedroom here, room length and width and level and so forth here, and style, room level here. And then I can hit more, and I can say something like, maybe the entrance, what level it's on, room dimensions there, and pick my living room. So that's how it works now. So it's a little different than it was, but hopefully you understand it's still pretty easy to do here. And I'll just fill that out. Okay. Then you come down here and you type in the bedrooms. We'll say 3, we'll say 2, and we'll say 1/2 bath. Now you'll notice we don't have that field total baths here. What this is going to do behind the scenes is take how many full baths you have and half baths, and we will auto calculate the total baths for you. So in this situation, I got 2 full and 1/2. So we're going to make it 2.1 baths, total baths. So 2.1. In the old system, it was 2.5. That's because it was 2 full and 1/2, so it was 2.5. But the problem was, what if you had 2 half baths? Then what would it be? Would it be 2 full, and would it still be 2.5, or would it be 2.5 out there? Or would it be 3? So now this, in this new system, this is going to be 2.2 on total baths out there. Cindy, you had a question. Are there still a form you can print, appointment, walk through? I'm sure there is, yes. That's still the same form because nothing's changed on this from Fusion. All the fields are still the same. So I believe that same form will apply to this here. So yeah, thank you, Cindy, for mentioning that. Just so yes, that same listing data input form that you've had before is still going to be the same one that you fill out here. We might need to, with that said, Cindy, we might need to make sure the flow of that input form follows the same flow that we do the input here. So it's not like jumping back and forth in different sections here. So if anything, we might need to maybe modify that sheet that you just talked about and make sure it flows the same way. But yes, you can still use that same flow there. You're welcome. Okay, then you're just going to pick, your bathroom levels and your what levels the half baths and the full baths are on here. Okay, then you go to features, and I think this is pretty straightforward too. You're just going to pick your fields, not just stop with the required ones, but you're going to do them all here. Now, let's say I didn't have a chance to hit save as incomplete. Let's just say I got up at this moment, walked away, went to a meeting, got distracted, forgot that I was not finished yet with this listing. And, after a while, the system logs you off. Well, and you come back from lunch or from that meeting, and you have to log back in. Well, when you log back in, it's going to give you this message here that you can say, oh, I was just joking around. I was just playing with it. Let me discard this here. And you can discard it. Or you could say, you know what, I'm in a hurry. I don't have time to kind of go back in and finish this or restore it. You can say skip, and if you skip it, the next time you log in, it's going to keep asking you and asking you and asking you again and again, do you want to restore it or discard it until you make a decision. Once you do, and I'm going to say restore, then as you can see, it takes me right back to where I finished at, and it just restores it for me. So it's an auto save feature out there. So I think that was pretty cool. So if I go back, remember my square footage here, I still have that decimal points in here, the 0.00. Well, I don't want to submit it yet, and before I hit save as incomplete, I'm going to hit validate. I want to show you the validate button. The validate button, like I said, goes through and sees if I filled everything in correctly. Well, here you can see I got a lot of error messages on all these sections here, and some of these are pretty obvious why I've got the error message, because I didn't fill it in. But here, I did fill in this required field for square footage, but it still gave me an error because it's in decimal points here. And you can see that the square foot did not fit the data type of integer. I don't really know exactly what that is. It's been a while since I've taken my math class, but basically it's because I had the decimal points in there. Okay, so now if I hit validate, it goes through, and now you can see I don't have an error message there, and it's fine. But I still have it for these other fields, and that's just because I don't have information in here. And if I fill it in, and then I hit validate, you can see, okay, see these fields are fixed now. It's because I filled them in. So that's your a way of going through. Oop, I think it's pretty important to have a price on here. So let me give it a price. That's the way to go through and make sure you filled in everything correctly or as much as possible. But it's also obvious that some of these errors are because I didn't fill it in. If I scroll down here, you also get this error box down here. There are errors on this input form, and if I click on it, it just gives me a list and why I missed it, because all these fields are required here. Okay. Christina, are the features in the same order as they were before? Good question. I don't really know because I didn't add listings all the time, so it's been a while. So are these boxes in the same order? I'm hoping so. I just don't know for sure. And that's something that maybe we'll need either Stan to confirm, or maybe someone who does this all the time confirm it, because I don't really know for sure out there. I would hope so. I would hope we did this here. Okay. And Cindy, you said later, can we ask questions that we have on other items of Matrix that have come across using it? Yeah, I'm sure we could. After I do this, we'll end this and I'll stop the recording, and then Cindy, if you have questions or anyone else have questions, sure. Yeah, I can stay on here and answer them. And we can have more of these webinars too if people are seeing a need for certain sections we need to cover out there. But yeah, Christina, I think that's who it was, Christina. Are these in the same order as they were before? I don't know for sure. Okay. I know they got the same pick list options. That's I know we have, but are they in the same order? I'm not sure. So you're just going to go through and pick as much as you can. You're going to go to your next tab, and this is your financing. Here you just obviously pick the same options we had before. We had an IDX. IDX means Internet Data Exchange. Personally, and this is something I might need to talk with Stan, I almost think this needs to default to yes here, and then you can come in and opt out, because I think every listing should be opt-in. So that's something I need to make sure I ask Stan today, because when I just did this here now, it had nothing here, and I think a lot of people may not know what this is, and so forth. Let me hit validate here, because I want to see that question mark there. We might need to explain this field here also, and that question mark, and kind of let people know, because I think you should be yes, because most people want to share their listings out there with other members on their websites there, but once in a while someone might opt out, but I think it's almost nearly pretty close to 100% IDX yes, except for a few people might opt out. So we'll discuss that, because I think that's how it was in Fusion. It defaulted to yes there. So we'll check on that one there. Virtual tours, if you have your virtual tour or your branded one, that's where you put that URL in here. Now we do have Property Panorama in RIST. So Property Panorama, as long as you have at least 3 photos, it creates a virtual tour for you automatically, a branded version and an unbranded version. So that should, Property Panorama should auto fill that in for us there. But if you have your own company that you do virtual tours, that's where you'd fill that in with your company's virtual tours, and not the one from Property Panorama. And then remarks here. I do want to show you on remarks as you type this in. This is a nice house. If you misspell something, you can see that it underlines it for you, and it's kind of letting you know that there's an error there, or a spelling error. So if you hover on top and right click on it, it kind of gives you some options to choose, and it does auto correct it. It doesn't do it automatically, because maybe you want it that way. Maybe it's meant to be spelled that way. So anywhere you type in, we do have the auto correct there, and so forth. Okay. Well, I think and you guys don't have this matrix testing tab up here. This is just for me, because I'm not really doing this live, so I have an extra tab that it's going to give me a fake number when I submit this, because I'm in the testing mode, where when you do this tomorrow, it'll give you a good MLS number. But for me, it's going to give us a dummy one for this test here. So you won't have that last tab there. Okay, well, I don't want to submit it yet, and I can't because I don't have all the fields submitted, inputted correctly. But here, I'm going to hit Save as Incomplete, and it does, and like I said, it will give you a good MLS number. And the new MLS number starting tomorrow will start with the 400,000 numbers. Okay, well, I think we're up in the 380,000 numbers right now, 379 something. So that way we're going to have that little gap there, so that way we know what listing started with Matrix and what was from the old system, Fusion and so forth there. But that will be a much better number there than what I've got. And once we're ready, as you can see, it's an incomplete listing, so you can add your photos and your attachments before it goes live. So this is a huge plus that that a lot of us have been waiting for, because we couldn't do this in Fusion. So now I can go in and hit Add Photos, and here I can just simply browse my computer, find those photos. I can do up to 100 of them here. It gives you a little tips up here to add multiple photos, to reorder them, to view its details. Maximum quality, we ask for photos at least 1024 by 768. If you remember, Fusion, if it got too big, that photo would say, uploader would say the photo is too big and you had to resize. So now we're asking for at least this size, but you can go bigger than this. And I have never ran across a situation where the photo was too big to add here. So I wanted to mention that to you. So hopefully you can start getting your large quality photos and uploading those in here. We will still take smaller photos. In fact, when I hit browse here and I add some of my photos, you will notice that mine are going to be smaller than that size. So I'm going to hit browse. Then this is where you come in and got to find your photos. So I'll just use pictures of my house here. You can hold down your control button and pick all the photos that you want. Or you can hold down the shift key and pick them all this way here too. Oop, and it kind of just forgot my first 4 here. So once I've got them all here, hit open, and it's just going to start populating those photos into this list here. Like I said, remember it says these photos below outlined in red are lower than recommended. So they're dotted in red because they're smaller than that size that we're wanting. It'll still take these, but it's just letting us know that we could have done better. We could have went higher with this here. So that's actually a pleasant surprise there, instead of having it reject them here. And then I can just reorder these and grab them and drop them where I want them. It's really that easy. Fusion, you could do this too, but you had to click on an extra button and then reorder them. Here you can just reorder them right here on the fly. And then I could say, you know what, I don't want this photo. I made a mistake. I decided not to have these photos in this. Once I select it, I come down here to the bottom and I hit delete, delete checked. And then, are you sure? Yes, and it gets rid of those photos there. I can click on the photo right here or click on that box up there. Either or will open the photo up, and here I can rotate it. You know, because maybe I took it at an angle on the portrait size. I need to rotate it to the landscape size. And then down here you can enter your description. I think this is excellent, you guys. If you haven't been doing this in Fusion, enter descriptions and talk about the house. This is the view from the lake, something like that. And then when you're done, hit done. It does have that spell check in there also, but type in as much more information as you can, and then obviously hit save when you're done. And that's pretty much it with the photos. I think it's pretty easy, and then hit save. And now I've got my photos saved. Even though this listing is still incomplete, my photos are there ready to go. And I can even add my attachments. If I hit attachments, the same pick list options that we had before, I can just go and choose that attachment file and then upload it and give it a description up here, pretty much like we did before. I'll just hit cancel though. But that listing is saved as an incomplete, and then I can come back. Now, it should stay there as an incomplete. This is what I should have confirmed also. It should stay there the same amount of time as it stayed as a incomplete listing in Fusion. I'm guessing a week. That's kind of our normal, but whatever it was in Fusion, it should be the same amount of time it stays as an incomplete in Matrix. Some MLSs take the chance to make that longer period instead of what it was before. So if anything, it's at least the same time period. And I'm saying about a week, but it could be longer than that. Okay, so now I'm ready to finish that listing. How do I go in and modify it or finish it? Well, you just go right back to add edit again. You could hit edit existing or type in that MLS number, but here all I need to do is open this up and you can see all my listings. Now, this shouldn't show me all my listings. We need to make sure we filter out the solds and the expired listings. So you should only see the ones that you still have the ability to make changes to. So this one here is my active one that I have, and I have 2 incomplete listings here. And this one down here is that incomplete that I was just working on. So that's the one I need to click on. Before I do that though, if you're an office manager or broker and you have access to do multiple people's listings, you're actually going to have 2 boxes here, drop-down boxes, actually maybe 3, depending if you work for a company that has multiple offices, you will have 3 drop-down boxes. The first one will say pick your office, and you open this up and you'll pick your office that you want to use this for. If you don't have that ability, then you'll only have 2 here, and this first one will say, well, pick your agents. What realtors are you doing this for? So you pick the correct realtor, and then you'll see, okay, now pick one of their listings. So it's got that little filtering system. And if you're like me and you're at an agent level, then the only thing you can do is open this up and choose just your office or your listings. That's it. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. I'm only showing this as an agent level, but office managers and brokers might have 1 or 2 more filters up here. So this is the one I want to finish. I want to go back into that one on North Market Street. I click on it, and now I can go in, I can add more photos, I can add more attachments to it. You shouldn't have this show input audit. That's like showing all the history of this listing here. That's for MLS higher, risk staff and higher, that we can check all the price changes and stuff like that. But here you can go back in and add more photos. If it's still an incomplete listing, you will have that ability. Let's say you don't get that listing. Let's say something fell through and someone else got it, or they decide not to put it on the market. Well, you can delete that incomplete status, and then it goes away. Now, you won't be able to delete the listing altogether, and especially once it goes live, and it's an active listing, you can't delete it. You'll have to call Rist or someone, and we'll have to delete it for you. So you don't have that option there. So just wanted to mention that shouldn't be there for you. But if it's still an incomplete, yes, you can delete that incomplete status there. You can go in and schedule open houses, and you can schedule multiple open houses. So go through and add all the open houses for November. Every Sunday in November, go ahead and have it all set up here. That way you don't have to do it one at a time like we had to do in Fusion. Here you can do multiple open houses. Here you can change the status to whatever status. Now this is still an incomplete listing, so I need to go back into the main form, the residential form, and I need to go in here and finish this. That's what I need to do. And then once I'm done, I'd submit it, and it becomes an active listing. I'm going to hit cancel input though. Once it is an active listing, let me hit cancel again, then I would come in and I would pick, and that status would say A here because it's an active listing now, not an I for incomplete. So then I just hit, and it could say C for contingent or P for pending, okay? So you just click on that active status. Now this is an active listing. It already has, well, I thought it had a photo, I guess not. Here's the price of it. And here I can come in and I can change the price, change the status, change whatever I need to. And if I hit one of these fields, it only opens up the fields that I need to fill out to change it to sold. So I don't have to go digging through the entire fields like I did before. It just shows me the pertinent ones that are pertaining to this. And it's really that easy, you guys. You go back in and schedule open houses, go back in and upload photos, manage photos here. Let me hit cancel again. Okay, so just as a refresher, add listings, you click and hit add new, and it takes you through that process that I just showed you there. Edit existing, I really don't encourage you to hit that because you're either going to type in the MLS number, but I don't even think you're going to use this one over here. I think you're just going to come over here and use the pick list, and then just pick your listing, and then change the price, change the status, schedule open houses, manage photos, manage attachments there. Okay. I do want to show you one other thing on the home page. Instead of going to add edit, here on the home page you've got your little filter here also. And what you could do is you could go to your incomplete listings, put a check mark next to your incomplete listings, and we should have an edit button here. to edit your incomplete listings. Right now, I don't see an edit button. I believe Stan said yesterday that we have it turned off for now, but I'm going to make sure we can see if we can get that turned on tomorrow when we go live here. Okay, so I should just be able to hit edit, or if I click on my active listings, I should be able to select it and say edit down here also. Okay. Now here's something I want to mention. Trying to think. I don't think we have this feature in Fusion. I could share this listing on Facebook. So if this is my listing and I want to post it on Facebook to help advertise it, if I hit the share button here, okay, I think we need to make sure this opens up. Okay, it doesn't permit this from sharing. So we need to check this because it will give us a URL, and then we can take that URL, that web address, and when we post it in our status in Facebook, it'll convert it with a picture and some basic information about this property here. So you can share it to Facebook. So I need to check that, make sure it's turned on tomorrow, but that share option should be there too. Okay, so so I just want to show you from the home page, you've got this. You also have hit counters. So when you go into hit counters, you're seeing all your listings, how many hits they have, how many clients have made it favorites, how many times they've been viewed and sent out. Very similar to what we had in Fusion, the hit counters that we had there. Prospecting, I forget what it was called though, but you can see that there. And then also you can put a check mark next to it, and you should be able to do reverse prospecting and see how many other people have been sharing your listings and stuff like that. Very similar. That's maybe a little different topic there, but that's still some of the same stuff that we were able to do in Fusion. A lot of people didn't know about that, so maybe I can do a video or something on that later and post it for you. But that is reverse prospect, and it's the same thing. And along with these hits, these are pretty much the same hits that we had in Fusion also, where you can see how much the public is seeing these listings there. Okay, so that's all based off the home page. But if I also go back to add edit, and I click on that listing there, pull it up, you can see some of this here too. Okay. That's under add edit. Under my matrix, we have my listings right here. This is something I think I forgot to show yesterday. We have my listings. Remember, you have the listings here, but if you go into my matrix, you also got my listings here also, and that's where you got all these options to pick from. Okay, my active, my pending, my incompletes with no photos, so forth there. My hit counters, which I'm looking at right here. So that's also under my matrix, my listings. Okay, anything else pertaining to this topic here? Because once we're done with this, adding, modifying listings, I can, stop the recording, and then we can go into some other questions if you had them. Anything else with adding listings? I think it's pretty simple. I mean, hopefully you guys do too. Okay, no other questions. All right, well, thanks you guys. I will stay on here if you want to ask questions about other topics out here, but I do appreciate your time. We will post this so you can watch this live again, or not watch it live again. Watch the recording of this live version that we just did here.